It's game day, Detroit. You're waking up with Woodward and Maine, your source for all the insider information on the defending NFC North champion Detroit Lions. With insight from Detroit sports media legend Terry Foster and rising star Matt Broder. Get ready, Detroit. It's now time for Woodward and Maine.
Good morning, everybody.
Go, Terry.
I know you were fired up yesterday before the game. I know you're gonna be fired up today.
Fired up.
But I want to introduce you to my sometimes convoluted and goofy thinking.
Up in that noggin of yours,
Up in
Terry?
this noggin. Lions victory yesterday over the Minnesota Vikings. Kitchen sink game.
I like how that sounds. Talk to me about that, though. What do you mean?
Like, what the hell is this guy talking about?
Is that a phrase
Sometimes
from the 40s?
games, they throw everything at you but the kitchen sink. I thought Minnesota threw everything but the kitchen sink at the Lions. They jumped on the 10-0, and then what's the dude's name? Coyote boy.
Coyote.
The right guard.
Yeah, Awosika.
Kept grabbing people and.
Yeah, a little holding problem.
I never thought in my life that a team could lose a game because of the play of the right guard.
You were almost about to witness it yesterday.
I know. But
It was
you know what? We didn't hear him in the second half. He was just out there doing his thing.
He likes to put together really good halves of football. He was great in the San Francisco 49ers first half. Then he struggled in the second half.
Dude, I don't even know who this guy is. I just know he's screwing up the game.
Yeah, he's a backup guard, but you're right. It could have got ugly early. Like that game in Minnesota, Terry, they got out to a 10-0 lead. There was times in we were talking the old Lions teams that might have been where they faltered. Actually, there were a couple moments during the game where they may have gone the other direction.
I'll tell you when the old Lions would have faltered, the Montgomery fumble.
Oh, near the end of the fourth quarter?
They would have packed up the chunks. That would have been the end of the ball game.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. And then once again, the Lions played good football, but then they fell behind because of and it was a good strip of Montgomery, because Montgomery's a strong dude. He doesn't just drop the ball. So Minnesota takes the lead again with 5:50 left, throwing the kitchen sink once again at the Lions, and then the Lions responded. Cool, calm, and collected.
What's the word of the day? What was the word of that game for you?
Being cool and calm.
All right. Composure,
right. A bunch of C's. Cool, calm, collected, composure, whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot of reasons to panic in that game. Because Minnesota, I didn't think either team played particularly well. There's there's a ton of penalties.
That's what you just said on screen. I forget who put it up. Was it Shane?
John F. Lohr.
John F. Lohr said just there were too many penalties. Like he had PSD. It felt like the first 20 minutes of the game, it was flags every play.
Right.
For both teams.
And many of those penalties are from your boy Coyote boy. Even
the ones that were declined.
Right.
Like it would look worse in the stat sheet if some of them were declined. But they kept doing, although, and if I remember correctly, they didn't have one called all game. I think they were the only team in the NFL yesterday that didn't get a pass interference call. And they're the team that leads the NFL in that.
Yes or no? Let me test you today. My student over here, Lions.
Yes.
Best team in football?
No.
Oh, okay. All right.
And I know I came in the door saying, all right, we got the best team. Literally, I said the best team in football.
I just wanted to test you, Homer boy.
Yeah, if we're going on wax here, it's still the Chiefs. They deserve that number one spot.
Right.
But the Lions are a 1B. They're number 2, they're a 1B. And I asked you, too, how many losses for the Chiefs would it take to move them back to 2 in front of the Lions? Like, is one loss and the Lions are number 1?
2 losses. It's going to be 2 losses. 2-time Super Bowl champions. They got Patrick Mahomes. The Lions have a loss. But none of that matters. It doesn't matter. No. It matters. The playoffs matter. Meeting in the Super Bowl matters. This whole ranking thing, this is for the fans. It's cute. It's fun. It's something nice for us to look at. But it doesn't matter.
It doesn't.
Particularly in college football, it matters a little bit because it can determine who's going to be in the playoffs. NFL, it's not.
Yeah.
Not
Jennifer
at all.
Hammond made a great comment yesterday after the game that you can't win a division in, the middle of October, but you can definitely set yourself up for good positioning at the end of the season. Set yourself up for taking that NFC North, which the Lions did. And power rankings are not. A game like this, too, as ugly it was at some point, as amazing as it was, it looked on offense at some points, especially in that second quarter. We got to see that it really is a complete football team from offense, defense to special teams. I think we're going to talk later. They still got to do something about that pass rush, but they had guys step up in this game against a 5-0 Vikings team that, did they play their best game? Probably not, but they played well. That's a good team. They're a good team.
It's a good team. They played okay. I wouldn't call it well.
Okay.
They were solid, but I think Minnesota did pass this one test.
Yeah.
Are they legit?
Yes.
Yeah, they're legit.
They're legit.
It's going to be tough when they come to Ford Field.
Oh, yeah.
At the end of the season. So, yeah, I think Minnesota proved that they were legit. But the Lions needed this game more than Minnesota because it's October, almost November. You don't want to be technically 3 games behind the division leader.
Yeah.
Because everything has changed now. The Lions are not about winning football games. They're about winning a division. One. Then they're about winning playoff games. 1, 2, 3. And they're about trying to make their first Super Bowl ever. So the stakes are different. That's why yesterday's game was huge.
Huge. And it always feels good, especially when it's a conference opponent or division opponent, beating them after their bye week.
Right.
They spend 2 weeks game planning for this Lions team, and you take them down like that. You give them a little hope. I wish they didn't let them back into the game, but they did. You gave them hope, but then you stepped on their throat again with your rookie kicker. They have a great rookie kicker, too, that almost won them the game. Now Jake Bates
you know what?
steps up.
They let him back in the game, but wasn't that a fluke? How many times is David Montgomery going to fumble in a situation like that? Sometimes we got to give credit to the other team. That was a great punch out.
Really great from
Against
Metellus.
a dude that's all muscle and everything.
That doesn't happen to David Montgomery often or ever.
No.
Usually it's just like he fumbles the ball from something. It's not usually because someone hits it. That man keeps the ball tight.
He does.
And after that fumble, you mentioned already earlier, that's where some of the old Lions teams after that fumble would have faltered, the game would have been over. But also earlier in the game, Montgomery has been that spark of the league's best offense these last few weeks. He goes out with a knee injury. I want to call him. Do I call him Knuckles or who stepped up when Knuckles was out of the game?
I don't like that nickname. It's stupid. Knuckles and Sonic or Sonic and Knuckles.
Sonic and Knuckles.
I like mine better. Sonic Boom. If you want to do the Sonic thing, how about Sonic and Boom?
Yeah.
But here's the great thing about having 2 running backs. David Montgomery wasn't what we expected him to be, but Jahmyr Gibbs, man, that dude was rough yesterday.
He stepped up.
Jahmyr Gibbs came through. So that's why in today's modern NFL, where it's passing and pass rushing and everything, you need 2 running backs.
You do. The year everyone was going the opposite direction, let's not pay the running backs. Remember the running back market just dropped? The offseason we signed Montgomery.
Sure.
The offseason we went all in on 2 running backs. We not only traded for one with DeAndre Swift, not traded, we signed Montgomery with Swift on the roster, traded Swift and drafted Gibbs.
Well, that's
Number 12.
because the league is turned into a passing league, but the Lions, they don't have to follow suit. The whole thing, we're just going to kick your ass between the trenches.
You think the Lions are going to follow suit?
No,
if there's
so
any
they-
team.
so, yeah, they don't have to. They're creating their own aura. Dan Campbell, with his gambling,
That happened again yesterday.
happened again yesterday. Didn't work out. Other coaches are following suit now. The Lions. Now we're going to see other teams trying to ground and pound because that's what the Lions do. Because we've been told in this league you can't win with a good ground game.
Yeah.
It's a passing league, and they change rules to benefit people like Jefferson.
It's so close-minded. Like, oh, no ground game. All right, Ben Johnson, Dan Campbell, Brad Holmes. Let's build an offense with just a bunch of weapons. We got a slot merchant as our best wide receiver, Mr. Pickens. No, but they went and drafted Gibbs because he's a weapon. He's a great running back, but he's a weapon. And who was on full display yesterday? Sonic came in for the boom and delivered the boom. Like that 45-yard run, Terry, the one where he juked out Cam Bynum, that was special. That juke move was special.
I thought my man's shoes are out on the field.
They still are out on the field.
Okay.
They still are. On Khalif Raymond's touchdown catch, he juked. I think it was Stephon Gilmore absolutely broke his ankles. Gibbs, I think it was Gibbs had the nice pick block to get Khalif in the end zone. But, I mean, it was, especially that second to third quarter, end of first to third quarter, that offense, it looked like the Dallas game again. And they got a little sloppy. The defense was here and there. I thought the defense played well, though. The fact is they managed to go and beat their division opponent.
It's great. And the other thing is, you know what name we didn't hear yesterday?
What?
J-Mo.
You're right.
Right. Didn't need him. It was not a J-Mo game because Minnesota blitzes so much that you need time to find J-Mo when we just let him fly. Mm-hmm. And that wasn't happening yesterday because they kept the pressure on the Lions. I thought the Lions' offensive line, except for your boy Coyote, played pretty stout. It was
Penny Sewell. Penny Sewell is the best offensive lineman in the league. I think we all know that by now, but I'm just going to say it again, just so it's out there one more time. He's the best.
Yeah, he was. He was cracking heads together like coconuts.
Yeah, he really. that's a funny picture. Right when Yodi starts making all these penalties, it's where Penny Sewell's like, "All right, like I got you. Like go get your arm. It's just I'll just take this side."
No. Penny Sewell said, "I'm going to play right guard and right tackle."
If there's any man that could do it, T. Foss, it's him.
It is.
It's him. J-Mo didn't have any catches. But if you look at just about every big play they had, he's down the field blocking.
Right.
Any run of more than 7-8 yards, he's somewhere in that mix with his shoulder down or trying to block a defensive back. He made a difference in that game. And there was some space open in the middle of the field. It allowed Jared Goff to get to his reads. We don't see the Vikings play with two safeties like that very often. They, especially more than last year, they were having them. It was a J-Mo effect, and that allowed St. Brown to get open on that touchdown pass. That allowed some of the middle stuff.
St. Brown went deep.
I love that play.
I know because you're all stuck on this. What's the merchant?
Oh, the slot merchant.
Slot merchant, right. Get off that.
I know, but I enjoy watching football games where a game manager delivers big clutch throws down the field to slot merchants to beat a 5-0 team. It's just weird that game managers can do that to slot merchants with a classless coach running the show.
How many times has this town called for Jared Goff's head? I mean, they sing his praises, but then there's another group that says, you know what? This guy's a bum.
There's some that still do. Can they do that now, though, anymore?
All right.
That's got to...
No, well, yeah, they will. Because he's not going to go 15 for 15 all the time or 19 for 19 all the time. He will throw an interception at some point, and then the Bluebirds will be out again.
I know. When is he going to throw it again?
I don't know when, but it's going to happen.
It's hard to believe. It's hard to believe. In his last 10 quarters, Terry, 48 for 55, 763 passing yards, 7 total touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and 155.1 QB rating over his last 10 quarters.
All right. Now, I'm going to say a word, and I know people in your little chat over there are going to get all pissed off and say, T-Foss is...
Get him, chat.
Whatever it is. When he made the pass to Patrick, when it could have been a strip sack, he had all kinds of pressure. He had to get skinny and then reach back and throw the ball. That was an elite play. That is an elite play. And I don't want to call him an elite quarterback because I'll get attacked, but that was an elite play.
Yeah.
When you can hit your first 15 passes, your first 19 passes, that's elite. And you know what? And he is check down Charlie. But that's okay.
That's okay. That's okay. Because he's getting it just into the hands of his weapons. He's still throwing it down the field, but hey, when the read's not there, I like Jahmyr Gibbs over there in the flats. I'll throw it to him. He'll get me 10, 15 yards. That was such a good play. His pocket mobility to feel that and move up. I don't know how he didn't fumble because Grenard got his hand on the ball. Right. That's when you're like, oh, I know it's at such a time of the game. If that happened, it's like,
well, he protected the ball and he got skinny. He did like this, like, oh boy, something is here. So when you get skinny, you can protect the ball better.
And he delivered a beautiful pass to Patrick. Not similar in terms of avoiding that rush, but that first 35-yard touchdown pass to St. Brown, that was elite too. That was a perfect passing catch. That was with cover 0. His first read was over to the left somewhere. I don't know if St. Brown was number 2 or number 3, but you could see his eyes shift across the field, and then he just unloaded a perfect pass right in the breadbasket. It was a thing of beauty.
Yeah, he was lethal with cover 0.
Yeah.
And those are situations where a lot of quarterbacks melt, or they make an errant throw, and then they feel they do the right thing by throwing the ball away, which I have no problem with. But he was able to complete passes, make big plays, and
the one to Laporta too.
Yeah,
25-yard pass to Laporta. He was special against the Vikings, Terry, against Brian Flores, who's only a Brian Flores Vikings defense has only given up 30 points 4 times. 3 of them have been to the Detroit Lions. That's pretty impressive. And a lot of that is due to Goff. A lot of that in his last 3 games versus the Vikings. 75 for 97, which is a 77% completion percentage. 857 yards and 5 touchdowns. That's pretty good.
And in the last 3 games, bro, it's like 80%.
It's MVP level.
Right.
It's MVP level.
You might get attacked. Do we put him in the MVP conversation?
Yeah, 100% right now.
Okay.
And this, he's not better than Patrick Mahomes. He's not more talented than Josh Allen, but right now he's playing MVP level quarterback play, and he's got his team at 5-1.
But the best player doesn't always get the MVP award.
Exactly. Mahomes is the best player. His stats aren't so great. Like they're 6-0, and he hasn't even had a good season.
Right.
The Lions aren't here where they are without Jared Goff.
Patrick Mahomes is throwing interceptions. Too many.
More interceptions than touchdown passes.
Yes.
Goff don't do that. Mm-mm. In fact, Terry, last stat here from Detroit Lions PR. In any 4-game span in NFL history, Jared Goff's the only player to complete 80% of his passes and post a passer rating of 140+. In each of his last 4 games, he's posted at least 2 touchdown passes, 72% completion rate, and 110+ passer rating. He's on fire. He's on a heater. And he's confident. You can see it when he lets the ball go. He's confident. And this Lions team, this Lions team is scary when Jared Goff is like that.
Right. And, his throwing motion to me, it's a little weird. It's like a slingshot.
Yeah. It just lets it go.
He lets it go. He's going from angles. Looks like a shortstop sometimes.
He played shortstop. He had an interview a couple weeks ago. He was a shortstop in high school out in California.
See there? I picked that up.
Yeah. Said he had 3 stolen bases or something. He hit 250. I don't think he was very good. But, T-Foss, last thing before we move on from Goff, because I haven't seen this clip, but you were texting me. Terry Bradshaw had some comments about him.
Yes, Terry Bradshaw, and they made fun of him. Terry Bradshaw on the postgame show that... Here's what he said. He said the way that Jared Goff brought the Lions back on that last drive reminded him of Tom Brady.
Ooh.
So that's so
people got on Terry Bradshaw for that?
But he didn't say Jared Goff reminds him of Tom Brady or he's the second coming. He said the way that he led that drive reminded him of Tom Brady. Because Tom Brady, lo and behold, they would fall behind sometimes in the last 3 or 4 minutes, and they'd have to come back. And he said that, basically Goff had the composure, which is going to be a key word today, confidence and ability to lead that drive almost perfectly, and it reminded him of Tom Brady.
Yeah, it's true. Did you, what was it, about 2 minutes, 45 seconds left? Did you have any question in your mind that he was going to lead the team down the field, that the Lions offense was going to go get some points there at the end?
No, and it goes back to, you remember the game, what was the game where they didn't score in the second half, but they still won?
The Cardinals?
Cardinals
game.
Yeah.
Goff started 12 of 12 in that game.
Right, he started 12 of 12. Now, we had panic in this town because Lions didn't score in the second half. Now, my thinking was if they had to score, they would have scored in the second half. Yesterday, they had to score, and they did. This team knows what to do to win. They've got the confidence. They got the ability. And if it has to be done, they will do it. This is why this is a team that appears at this moment destined for the Super Bowl. But you can't say that they're definitely going there because during the NFL season, teams change like 3 to 4 times. Sometimes for the better, sometimes for the worse. And they also happen to be in the toughest division in football.
They sure do. The Packers won yesterday.
Who's got the worst record?
The Bears.
4-2 is the worst record. Think about that.
That's wild.
Very wild.
That's wild. And the conference slate, the division slate is just getting started. Like there are going to be some interdivision battles coming up here.
Now, if the Lions had lost, which they didn't do, they would have been essentially 3 games behind Minnesota.
Right. We're used to the magic here in Detroit after this Tigers season, but you don't want to dig yourself that hole in the NFL, even if you're a good team. Weird things happen, and that Minnesota schedule ain't so great. And like Neil says, I say that for effect. I asked you about that last drive, but as I'm remembering, they punted with about 4.5 minutes left.
Right.
That's actually where it all starts, having the confidence to use your all-pro, the best punter in the league, Jack Fox, flip the field, and give it a shot.
Now, I love that, and here's why. Teams normally, when they get the ball deep in their own territory, run the ball 3 times and then punt. So, and then normally you don't get the first down. So, but the commentators say, well, geez, they might go to their guy Jefferson in the situation. Teams are afraid to put the ball up in the air. So I'll take my chances. I'd rather be behind and punt the ball than be ahead, because I know that team's ahead is going to play real tight. You have the little tight ass.
Yeah, you don't know
and
what.
So normally they don't get the first down. Now the Lions, because they're running game, a lot of times they do get that first down because they're running in an aggressive way. They're going over Penei Sewell or Decker or something, and they got the best line. They got 2 running backs. They got Jahmyr Gibbs. Every time you put the ball in his hand, he could break it.
He's so much fun to watch. You get that feeling every time he touches the ball. You have to kind of sit up in your seat a little bit.
Right.
And it's like, he might break it free, and on that one he did. That juke move, like, it almost looks subtle because it's just so smooth. It's not subtle, it's lethal. That was disgusting. I just lost my train of thought. But
It's okay. It was a wonderful game.
it was.
I can understand.
It really was. I think what I was going to do, there was someone in the chat. Team Peterson says, I miss Terry on the radio.
Hello.
Greg B29 says, Terry is the man. We got some Jared Goff chants in here, Terry.
Oh, can I toot my horn?
I would love to.
Yesterday, if you guys are listening to
Oh,
Woodward in Maine, relax. A very wise man said yesterday the Vikings were going to get off to a good start, but he questioned whether they could sustain it and that the Lions would win. I don't want to tell you that guy was.
Who?
That was me.
You called it.
Right.
You did describe what that game was going to be like. We were pretty spot on in our analysis of like what.
Although
and to be honest, it was easy.
I will say Minnesota held up a little bit better than I thought they would.
True. They're a good team. They're good. They're well coached. And their quarterback played well. Sam Darnold played pretty well. He did Sam Darnold things and threw that one interception. He turned the ball over when you needed.
You going to turn the rock over?
You are. It was almost the exact same team stats. Time of possession, first downs, yards, passing to rushing. But what was that 2-point difference? It was the quarterback play. One quarterback was just that much better.
Yep.
Sam Darnold was still 22 of 27, which is 81.5%, 259 yards, 1 touchdown, but 1 interception. Brian Branch, dude.
And the stat that befuddles me in every game, don't turn the ball over and you win. Now, yesterday, the Lions did not have a turnover into the Montgomery fumble, and lo and behold, they're ahead. It looks like they're going to win the game. then the Montgomery turnover happens, and all of a sudden it shifts. It's a 50-50 game.
Yeah.
So don't turn the ball over, and you good.
God, I just think about Dan Campbell in those moments. Like, to have a team not give up right there, or just not alter their mentality in the game. They were just waiting for the ball back, step right up. It's a business trip. This game wasn't about the trick plays, although there was a fake punt early. It wasn't the fun trick play game. Like, it truly was a business trip. They were dead serious coming out of Minnesota with that dub.
I think what we're going to see with the Lions, they play 17 games. We're going to see 17 different ways to win.
They can do that.
Yesterday is a little bit more ground and pound, going to St. Brown. No J-Mo. Now against Tennessee or Chicago, who knows, where there's not as much blitzing, J-Mo can have a big game.
Yeah.
And every game, we're going to ask the question, where is so-and-so? Because you have so many pieces that one or two pieces is going to be forgotten. But they're going to play a major role, and the Lions will probably win the game.
Yeah. St. Brown showed up big, but then you got Gibbs with 8 catches. Then you got Gibbs with 4. Montgomery with 3 catches, receptions. Khalif Raymond with 3. Tim Patrick with 2. Laporta 1, J-Mo 1. A week ago, it was shifted around a little bit, but it's all 6 of those names on any given week. It makes it fun to watch. It makes it, you don't know what game you're going to see going in, but they can adapt to whatever you need.
Right. It reminds me of an NBA team that doesn't have a superstar. And whenever you don't have the superstar, you can go in different directions to win games. And that's what the Lions are doing. And with the Bulls, you have Michael Jordan. You knew he's going to take the last shot. With the Lions, you don't know where danger is coming from. It could be Montgomery, it can be Gibbs, it could be J-Mo. A lot of times it's St. Brown. And I suspect before the season's over, we're going to see Sam Laporta be that guy that's dangerous.
That's what China Virus in the chat says. Where's Laporta this season? That's a fair question. He's had a catch here and there, had a big play here and there. I'm not worried. Are you worried about Laporta? No, he'll have his big game eventually.
No, his time is coming.
Yeah. Chuck Brewer in the chat says, go back to Dan's intro news conference. Like, this team will never fold. They will lose games, but they won't fold. Steve Wiles, Lions played their offense on their teams and have chess pieces in every game. Pick and choose. We can win through the air, on the ground, with special teams. Name it. You name it, Lions can win it. After that game, Terry, it was a 1 o'clock game, so you could have gone out and had a nice Sunday beer. Who would you have had? If you could pick a Lions player or two, who would you have, wanted to go pick the brain of after the game, whether it was a good game or a bad game?
And one beer. I get 2 beers.
Yeah.
My first beer would be David Montgomery. I wanted to know what the hell happened on that play. How did somebody punch the ball out of your hands? Mm-hmm. And what was your mindset immediately after that happened? Now, if you get him in the locker room, he'll lie to you. He's, I knew we were going to win, blah, blah, blah. No, immediately afterwards, he probably felt, I screwed the team.
Oh, of course.
Right.
That's what you think you let the team down. You could see it. It's not like him. His head's kind of down, but that's where you rely on your brothers, and that's why there's no number tied to it, but that's the culture of building a locker room. It's okay, our brother just made a mistake, and he's going to be hurting if we don't pull this out for him.
Right. And so they went over to console. My second beer would be with your boy, Coyote Boy.
Yeah.
How can you screw up so many times in the first half? And in the second half, we didn't even hear from you. So obviously he started to play better, and I wondered if he went into if he maybe confided with some of the guys at halftime and said, you know what, I'm sorry, this is not going to happen in the second half. This is not who I am. I'm a better player than that.
Yeah,
I wondered if that happened.
The fumble was a little later in the game, so it may have been. They may not have had that conversation at halftime. But when he's hurt and he's out and he's had his knee getting checked out, it's moments like those where he's probably walking over. Gibbs and Vaki and all the guys on the offense are walking over to check on him, and they're like, "Hey, guy, they don't want to let him down. They want to.
No, they don't. No, I was saying the right guard is the guy I'd want to talk to.
That's my fault
because he screwed up in the first half.
For whatever reason, I thought you were talking about David Montgomery. I had that in my head. Yodi at halftime. You're 100% right. They're talking about, hey man, like I screwed up. I just missed up the people you were talking about.
Yeah, I wonder if you went in there and say, guys, my bad.
Yeah,
not gonna happen again.
Yeah,
I'm a Detroit Lion now.
That's the moment where Penei Sewell or Ragnow, Decker, they go, dude, don't worry about it. Like, we got you. Let's move on. Second half.
Well, yeah, that's you being nice. I think Penei Sewell was like, what the hell is going on over here?
Well, yeah, Penei and Frank Ragnow then walk over to the corner like, dude, what do we do about him? Like, you got to crack a little more this way. I'll go. That is probably happening.
Do we have to baby him? What can we do? Should we scream at him and scare the hell out of him? Or embrace him.
Mm-hmm.
What do we do?
What do we do?
Somebody said something.
Oh yeah.
Because he was decent in the second half. He didn't have to be great because he's playing right guard.
In between the best center and the best tackle.
Right. But we didn't hear his name in the second half.
Then that's all you want.
Right.
Don't hear your name. I
don't want to know who's playing right guard or left guard. I don't even want to know who's playing right or left tackle. If you don't hear the name, everything is good.
Nowadays, like, as I want to hear about Penei Sewell, anything he does. He's the first offensive lineman I think in my lifetime that I'm excited to watch every single game, and I watch him. I've never watched an offensive lineman probably ever before. You know, other than a game. You know, Jake Long gets drafted and whatnot. It's special. I want to go have a beer with Goff. I won't talk too much long about him. I just want to know what a heater like this feels like. I have a vision as a former pitcher, like when you get into the zone and it's just wherever you want to throw the ball, whichever pitch, you can put it wherever you want. Is that what it feels like to him right now, throwing the ball?
I'm sure it is, but I'm sure he will tell you how wonderful his teammates are playing. It wasn't so much in this game, but in the Dallas game, dudes were wide open. I mean, like 4 or 5 yards open. Normally, you get a window of a few feet.
Mm-hmm.
He's getting a window of yards. Yesterday was a little bit tighter, and you had to make throws on the run. You had to make throws under duress, and you had to make throws in tighter windows. And he did that.
Mm-hmm. Team Peterson in the chat. Awasika needed to pull his head out and get in the game in the first half. Kiazi, yeah, number 74 was pissing me off on the Lions in the beginning. Brandon Beatty asked, is T. Foster wearing a Bears hat? No, it's a Tigers hat. Tigers. We see the Tigers real quick. There we go.
There we go.
We see the Tigers. The colors do look Bearsy.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit.
Oh, well, let's talk about this guy in 1 second. But these Shaquille O'Neal, Houston did bad for the most part. But there was a couple plays he could have had a sack or tackle for loss. You didn't hear his name, and that's the flip side. You want to hear a guy's name like James Houston.
Well, he played.
He played. He didn't make a difference. He didn't make too much of a difference.
Pascal did, even though he kept getting carted off the field every other play.
Pascal did. Let's get to him in 45 seconds because my second beer, because we're having 2 beers, is with Aaron Glenn. I thought he called a great game. It wasn't perfect, but I thought he picked and chose his blitzes really well. The secondary played great. They kept Justin Jefferson in check. That one touchdown pass was great. Darnold to Jefferson, nothing you could do about that. But how he utilized Pascal, how he utilized the linebackers specifically. This was an Aaron Glenn and Kelvin Shepard day. And we'll get to Brian Branch, I promise.
It is, but let me give you a warning.
What?
I have this philosophy about sports. When you lose a major player, you can sustain that for a game. There's some magic thing that happens in professional sports when you lose like your best player or one of your best players. The next game, you're able to mesh it all together and you survive. And that's what the Lions did. Now, I wonder if they can survive against Tennessee. Can they survive against the Bears? Can they survive
the Texans?
From the Texans. From this point on, this is where it gets dicey. You gotta, because now teams have game film on you. They know what you're gonna do, and you have a set way that you have to play now because you don't have that great piece.
Yeah.
Now this is where it gets dangerous for the Lions.
Right now.
Right now.
With this stretch coming up.
Forever.
Forever. I've always wanted to do that live on TV.
What is this? Some Halloween stuff?
From the Sandlot.
Remember in Sandlot, they're telling ghost stories and making s'mores with the Marlows in the
I
clubhouse?
did not watch Sandlot.
What?
Sorry about that.
What?
Am I in trouble now?
Yeah. you got the crickets going. Yeah, in the
Didn't watch
ear.
it.
It's one of the best movies of all
It's
time.
better
Best
than Field
sports
of
movies.
Dreams.
Maybe.
Yeah, I'm not going to say that, Chase.
Ray
I'm
Kinsella
not
was
gonna-
all-time bad
no,
character.
no.
Two separate baseball-related sports movies.
You can't
The
put those
Sandlot's
two
an
together.
absolute classic. What?
You can't put those two together. Come on.
No.
Field of Dreams has his moments now.
They're both on the Mount Rushmore.
Now, did
To me.
everybody here watch Sandlot except me?
Yeah,
Yes.
I've seen
Yes.
Sandlot.
Yes.
Okay.
Chat.
My bad.
Can you do a chat poll?
Yeah.
We haven't done a chat poll on here in a while. Have you seen Sandlot? Or however you want to word it. Yes, no. Terry's a legend or Terry's old. Don't put that.
It must be for the young whippersnappers.
I don't know. It's
No. This is James Earl Jones. This is you've never like Smalls and Squints and You Play Ball Like a Girl. The tequila scene where they're
You can talk till you turn blue in the face. I haven't seen the freaking movie.
the legendary movie. And you're a legend. Legends got to watch legendary movies.
Heroes live forever.
Let's watch
but
it.
legends
I guess
never
I know
die.
what to do this weekend.
T-Foss, let's watch it together this weekend.
I was going to go to the Apple Orchard, but now I guess I'm going to be watching Sandlot.
Date
I just
night.
had an idea. We got to talk after the show. I have an idea.
Date
I have an
night.
idea. Those linebackers, real quick, and then we got to talk about Brian Branch. Anzalone played great. Jack Campbell showed up. Malcolm Rodriguez played great. Trevor Nowaski played really well and had the big sack at the
Yes.
end. I don't know. What was your thoughts on the defense? I'm just going to leave it open. The linebackers are great, but Brian Branch played great. Pascal stepped up. What do you want to talk about on the defense? There were some unsung heroes.
There were. I think a lot of people stepped up, but I think what happens is you're told all week you're diminished, you're flawed because you don't have Aiden Hutchinson. And professional athletes, they do have pride.
Mm-hmm.
They don't like that talk. It motivates them. The Lions are like Michael Jordan. And from this standpoint, that if you doubt them, they're going to come through.
Mm-hmm.
If you say they can't do something, they will do it. And I think, this defense, all the questions are about Hutch. Oh, what are you going to do without Hutch? There's no Hutch. And so I'm not saying they got tired of it, but I think it motivated them to, okay, we're gonna try to shut this talk up.
Mm-hmm.
So you saw Pascal and Washke and all of them play well. Rodrigo
Was all over the field.
Rodrigo was a guy, I didn't even know he was still on the team until like a few weeks ago.
And that's why he was drafted.
Right, and now he's reemerging.
He's the Andy Ibanez of the Lions team.
Right.
Just when you need him to fill in, he'll come hit a home run. Get an interception off Brock Purdy in the NFC Championship game. Made some huge tackles yesterday. I
Right.
love Rodrigo. He's part of the heart and soul of this team.
He is, and but he also shows the development of Aaron Glenn and all the assistant coaches. Rodrigo came in and he played at first because he did what the coaches told him to do.
Mm-hmm.
He was this eager rookie. Whatever you tell him to do, I'm going to do. And the veterans are like, I'm not with you, bro.
It was this little cowboy running around football
and
field.
then as the linebacker room's talent increased, Rodrigo kind of disappeared. We didn't hear about him as much. Now he's reemerging again. And it shows me that another thing that's happening with this team is there's player development.
The floor is getting raised.
It's getting raised, and the guys that we didn't think much of are increasing the production of their game. And I think that has a lot to do with his coaching staff. His coaching staff, a lot of ex-players. They know how to handle them. They know how to motivate them. They know how to put them in the best position to win. That's what a coach is supposed to do.
And they're doing it at an elite level.
Right.
You pair that with the type of football players that they look for in the draft, the Rodrigos and Jack Campbells and Branches, it's all coming together. It's not just the Aiden Hutchinsons or the Sewell, St. Brown, Goff, Ali McNeil just got paid, which are draft picks of the Lions minus Jared Goff, although Brad Holmes was involved in that draft pick. They're getting the big contracts, but also the Rodrigos of the world, they're getting better. He could be a starter on another team in the league. He was maybe not an elite linebacker, but Rodrigo's a good player. It's just when he's the floor, when he's your worst linebacker, that's a really good thing. And he's not the worst linebacker, but
Well, he's a good rotational piece.
Yes, 100%. 7 tackles yesterday, a sack, a QB hit, a tackle for loss. Pascal, 4 tackles, a sack. Like, Nowaski had a sack right there at the end of the season, at the end of the game. For playing a game without Hutch, they did what they needed to do. They stepped up. And I love it. I love it. What I'm curious about at the end of the game, actually, we got 10 minutes left.
And now you're going to go with this pisses me off. Go ahead.
What?
I know what you're going to talk about.
Time management at the end of the game?
No, time management, I had no problem with that. Because you know, if you're the Detroit Lions, you know you're going to put yourself in position to kick a field goal. When you got the ball at the 45 or 50 and there's 2 minutes left, you got plenty of time. You're going to be able to run whatever play you want, get in whatever position you want, as long as you don't get a sack. So, yeah, I was glad that they milked the clock down to 2 minutes. I'm glad that they, even though the announcers said, what are they doing? They act like they're ahead. No, in a situation like that, kick your field goal with as little time as left on the clock. Of course, ideally, you want that field goal to be kicked with 3 seconds left, but that wasn't quite possible.
And that's part of it, too, why I can't decide how on board I am with it. Because I'm with you on generally what you just said. You want to milk the clock down as low as possible so you just get the last play of the game or as close to it as possible. But it's like they were doing that with, what was about 2 minutes and 30 seconds left. Gibbs had just had, what was it? He had a rushing play. There were 25 seconds until the 2 minute warning. It looked like they were going up to run a play before the 2 minute warning, and the time ran out. I don't know if they were trying to deceive the defense or they were trying to run a play.
Maybe they're trying to get them to jump off sides.
Maybe.
It never works.
Maybe. But even at the end, when they were kneeling it, when Jared Goff kneeled it 2 times in a row for a 44-yard field goal, you didn't want to run a rushing play? Like, is the worry about a fumble? Is that the only reason you don't do it?
I think Gibbs in his previous carry, the ball kind of came a little bit loose. He held on to it. The worst thing that could happen is if you fumble, then you're done. You got to trust the guy in today's NFL to kick a 44-yard field goal. That's a chip shot in today's game.
Mine is less about the length of the field goal. It's about if you could have cut down 3-4 seconds on 1 or 2 more plays by running the ball with Gibbs. Even if you don't gain any yards, you obviously don't want to move backwards, but if you can cut that clock down a few more seconds with Justin Jefferson on the field for a Hail Mary or anything at the end of the game, anything can happen with him on the field, which is why.
But, young man, a few minutes earlier, you had a guy that doesn't fumble.
Yeah, you're right.
So
the psychology.
Yeah, you get conservative. I think if Montgomery hadn't fumbled when he did, maybe they would have ran a play or two. But
with him?
No, with somebody else. But you get scared because you just saw a fumble that nearly cost you the game. You don't want to risk that again. And Jake Bates or whatever NFL kicker you parade out there is supposed to kick a 44-yard field goal.
Yeah. Props to Jake Bates, by the way.
Although, when he kicked that ball, it kind of took a little weird little turn and then came back.
The old left hook?
Right. Little left hook, and it's, let me settle back into the middle.
Fortunately, it did end up right down the middle. It was pretty. It was great to see him. That's a clutch kick. Great to see him come through in that. Last thing I want to ask you about, Terry. There was only 15 seconds left, but the Vikings, they took their shot. The defense, the Lions defense on that first play, going down to, it was the first and only play. They were rushing one player, Lee McNeil. I'm feeling some tension coming from that side of the table. You can't like that, do you?
I hate that. I hate when they rush just 3 guys. In a situation like that, when you have an NFL quarterback in the pocket with all kinds of time, patting the ball. I don't like when quarterbacks pat the ball. Means they got too much damn time. You're going to complete a pass. You're going to complete a pass for a lot of yards. You're going to put yourself in position for a Hail Mary. I hated that. Now, on the next play, they rush 5. And guess what? Sack. Game's over.
Pride of Saginaw Valley State, Trevor Nowosky, with
Right.
that sack. That's the difference. I don't know if they should have got that play off. That was weird at the end of the game, but you're right. There's never a time where I think you should be sending just one player.
Ever.
And Aleem wasn't even rushing on that play. They snapped it, and he made a little attempt. It was like, oh.
But, he's like, okay, there's 5 dudes over here. What am I going to do?
Yeah. Why not put a DB in and just send him back there or rush more players?
Right. Take all the fatties out.
No.
Put all DBs back there. But, I
Put Tim Patrick back there.
no matter the situation, you've got to put heat on opposing quarterbacks.
Darnold
Because
he could throw
I
it 50.
saw them rush 2 against the Baltimore Ravens a few years ago, and it looked like they're going to win the game. And then the Ravens completed a long pass and then kicked a 61-yard field goal to beat them.
Aaron Rodgers, Hail Mary. There have been some plays in Detroit Lions lore.
Always put heat on the quarterback,
Always.
no matter what.
Last topic, Terry. Speaking of heat on the quarterback. Well, we'll end with something positive about the Lions in the game. Do they need to go out and bring in a legit pass rusher? Do they?
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I know you'll look at, well, they blitz more and they got away with it. I go back to my philosophy. You can get away with it for a game when you lose one of your best players. But beyond that, the other team has game film on you. They know what you're going to do. There's not many different things that you can do. I still think they need a pass rusher. And maybe it doesn't have to be Max Crosby, but they need to.
Well, they definitely need somebody.
Yeah, they need to upgrade that position.
I think they need to go for it. They need to go for Crosby
Right.
or
if the goal is to make a Super Bowl.
I think we learned yesterday that they're a Super Bowl team.
Right.
I think we knew it before yesterday, but if there were any doubts, those are gone yesterday. They found a way to win in their gritty way, but you can't not have any pass rush when you're playing Jordan Love, when you're playing C.J. Stroud in a couple weeks, Josh Allen. You got to be able to get to the quarterback and in the playoffs.
Even if Justin Fields was still with the Bears, you can't do that.
Any quarterback. In fact, you need a pass rush because Caleb Williams is a rookie quarterback for the Bears.
And he's getting better.
He is getting better. It's the most important position on the defense nowadays. Go get one of the best ones in the league because there's a couple available
That's true.
on the cheap. I mean, minus some
When I
draft
was a lad,
compensation.
a young journalist in this city, I used to talk to people from other teams. Why are the Lions such an embarrassment? What must they do to become good? And here's the theme that I kept getting. You've got to attack the quarterback. The Lions don't attack opposing quarterbacks.
No.
Not enough. So if you can harass, or if the Lions could harass opposing quarterbacks, they would become a much better team.
Much better.
But what they do is they just let people look around and say, I think I'll go left. Now I'm going to go over here. They allow quarterbacks to go through their reads. You got to stop that.
Can't do it. We saw when Jared Goff has time, he'll dice you apart. Other quarterbacks in the league will do the same if they have time.
Yeah, Jared Goff gets you with the slingshot.
With the right arm, with the right. Roel Rodriguez in the chat, Terry says, let's say Brad Holmes doesn't trade for a defensive end this year and the Lions lose in week 1 or 2 of the playoffs. Would that be on Brad Holmes?
Yes. Mostly. But, it takes 2 to tangle. You can't force somebody to deal with you. And the other thing that the Lions are going to run into is teams don't want to help them. They know they need a pass rusher. So if I'm another team and I have aspirations of being good at some point, I'm not thinking about just this year, but for next year and the year after, I'm not breaking down the door to help the Detroit Lions because
You're-
they're a threat.
You're the Raiders. You don't want to give Max Crosby to the Lions
Right.
because you don't want him to go to that team and their pick is going to be 32 in the NFL draft coming up. Especially if they get Crosby, it will be 32. Do you agree with this? Shad 216. Winning just made the price for a pass rusher go down. In his opinion, it makes it seem like they're not as desperate for one if they had lost.
I disagree with that because once again, the Lions are a threat. We all know that. And when somebody is a threat, there's just no need to try to make that team better. I don't agree with that. I think teams are looking, okay, they can go to the Super Bowl. They can run over us at some point this year or next year or the following year. No, I'm not giving this up.
Yeah.
Easily. They got to pay. Lions in this town, and I understand it, the fans are always looking to improve their teams without giving up anything. You got to give up something. If you want Max Crosby.
It has to hurt, unfortunately. Any trade you're going to make for Crosby is going to hurt a little bit.
Now, for somebody else, it may not hurt. But for him, you're going to have to feel that pain.
And if you're the GM of the Raiders, that's the goal in a trade. If you're going to give up Max Crosby, it better hurt the other team. Like, it better be painful, which means it might be a third first-rounder or something.
True, but let me caution you, young fella. There are clowns out there running NFL teams.
Factual, Terry.
You can find them on a bad day or a good day for you where they would not give up enough for an elite pass rusher. But I have to believe for the most part, they're going to want to make you pay. Because you're no longer the cute, cuddly Lions who win 5 or 6 games every year and make our team look good because we know you suck. The Lions are in a different stratosphere.
Yep.
The Lions are an elite team.
They are. Terry, we got to wrap up here. We didn't talk about this guy a lot, so I'm just going to read off this note from Detroit Lions PR. Lions wide receiver Amon-Ra St. Brown has produced 100-plus receiving yards and a touchdown in 3 straight games at Minnesota. He's the first Lions player since the 1970 AFL-NFL merger to post 100-plus receiving yards and a touchdown in 3 straight games against a single opponent. He had a big day. He showed up again. He's not a slot merchant.
He is.
He's not.
He is, but he's a very good slot merchant.
He's the best. He's a top 5 wide receiver
maybe he's
in the league.
Slot merchant.
He's the bougie slot merchant.
Right.
I'm down. I love Amon-Ra St. Brown. It was a pleasure doing this show with you again today,
too, young
Terry.
man.
Victory Monday. You and I get to start it.
Right.
I love it. Thanks to Chase in the sound booth. JB Smoove in the TD booth. Check out Woodward Sports lineup all day long. Wake Up Woodward starts in 7 minutes. So as soon as we log off, as soon as we shut down, click the notify me button, join their show. I'll see you in the chat.
And they'll be on fire.
They will be on fire. I'm sure Neil and Sean won't be here today. Big D Energy will be electric regardless. Neil had some hot takes yesterday that all played out.
Neil, in situations like Neil gets a little cocky.
It's Neil and Stick.
Yep.
The amount of energy in that show, Neil hammered most of his picks and his takes yesterday. And whenever Jared Goff does something well, Stick's gonna have.
Oh, Stick's on it. I am so excited. This is great. We're going to the Super Bowl. Wee! That's Stick.
Can't blame him on his Jared Goff take though.
I know.
Though.
Do we have any Jared Goff haters in this?
Not in here.
No,
okay,
not in here.
all right. Just checking.
They're not allowed in here.
We're former Jared Goff haters.
Yeah, no, that sits in that seat from 5 to 7 on Woodward Sports Network.
Why's my chair broke, man? I need a new chair.
That's the story of. That's it. Yeah.
If you break a chair, you should have to pay for it. I don't care who you are.
There's a lot of pros that's. Yeah. D-Mac, Armani, Belizean. We need the vets to pay for it.
Oh, all the loud people sit here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyways, Terry, it was a pleasure. This
I
was
had fun.
Woodward and Main Street, your post-game recap show. We'll be on live next Sunday from 8 to 9 a.m. My name is Matt Broder. That is Terry Foster.
Hello.
Have a great week. We'll see you on Sunday.